קהל קדוש, בוקר אור, מסכת, שושן פורים שמח. Masechet Bava Metzia Daf עמוד א', we're just going to start the one Kaf He Amud Bet. So it's really 26a, we're just starting on 25b, just the Mishnah on the bottom, where the Mishnah says, Matzah begal uvekotel yashan. Imagine right now you're going to find a chefetz, you're going to find a utensil or any type of an item which is going to be hidden in a gal. A gal is basically a pile of stones, like rocks of stones. Uvekotel yashan, or an old wall. Harelu shelo, belongs to you. Matzah bekotel chadash, if you found it in a new wall, right, which is beside the Reshut Rabim, mechetzio velachutz shelo, mechetzio velifnim shel balabait. If it's going to be halfway towards, meaning half the wall towards you, so it's going to belong to you. But if it's going to be halfway in the wall towards the inside, so it belongs to the balabait. But if he was renting out the house to other people, afilu betoch habayit, and even if it's going to be inside of the house, harelu shelo, it belongs to you. What does that mean, even within the house? Well, obviously we're going to have to understand what that means. Okay? Fine. Says the Gemara. Tana. We learned in a Braita. Mipnei sheyachol lomar lo shel emorim hen. What does that mean? If you found it in a kotel yashan or in a gal, right? So therefore he could tell him, listen, this is shayach to the Emorim or any of the other nations that were living in Eretz Yisrael before they came and they conquered the land of Israel. And therefore it belongs to the person that he found it. So one more time, an old wall means that since it was here for such a long time, so therefore it could have been anybody's. It's yours. Could have been, I don't know whose. So therefore it belongs to you. Okay, so ask the Gemara, Atu Emorim mitzaneh, Yisrael mitzaneh. He says, one second. The Moraim are the only ones that hide in walls, but Jews don't hide in walls. Meaning, you found it inside of the wall. It belongs to the Moraim. Right? Jews never hide things in walls. Like, what's going on? So answers the Gemara, Lotzicha, what are we dealing with? The Shatich Dishtich Tfei. What does that mean? That it even has a lot of chaluda, it's got a lot of rust, so therefore you could tell that it was there many, many days. And therefore, since B'derech Klal, a person doesn't put it for such a long time, mistabed that it didn't belong to the guy of the Balakotel at all. It belonged to the Amunaim that were there beforehand, and then they were, run out or they were killed, and that's why they're not here. And therefore, the one that finds it is allowed to keep it. Okay? Fine. 2 dots on the top of Kavav Mudalef, 26a, 2 dots. What happens if you found it in a Kotel Chadash? So we already said that it all depends on the circumstances. If it's going to be on the halfway, meaning Kilu, I take the wall and I look halfway outside and halfway inside. Okay? Halfway outside belongs to you. Halfway inside belongs to the balabait. Okay? So Amar Ravashi says, Sakina batarkata. If you find a sakin in the wall, so we go after the handle in order to find out who does it belong to. Which means, if right now the sharp part is towards the Reshut Rabim, we're going to say that one of the Reshut Rabim put it right bekat, right? The cut is the handle. What did I say before? Yeah, the handle. So he says, if right now, right, the handle is towards the Reshut Rabim, so one of the Reshut Rabim went and they put it in the wall, and therefore it's allowed to, whoever wants to come and take it, they're allowed to take it. But if it's towards the house, so therefore we're going to say the balabait put it there, right? And therefore we're going to come and we have to give it back to the balabait. You understood? So, okay, I don't have a knife, right? But for example, right, this is so here's the sharp part, right? And so it all depends. If it's like this, and therefore it's from the Reshut Rabim pointing with the knife part, right, the sharp part towards the inside. So obviously with somebody from the Reshut Rabim, because nobody's going to come and put it like this and hold the knife. You understand? They're always going to hold it from the handle. So therefore if it's like this, so it's pointing towards the balabait, so therefore it belongs to the people in the Reshut Rabim. But if it was the other way around, it belongs to the balabait. So says the Gemara, v'kisa batar shintzne. Now he says a kis, which is an arnak, we go after the ritzuot, which that's how it's going to be tied. Which means if the ritzuot are going to be towards outside, so we're going to say the Reshut Rabim place it there. But if it's going to be towards inside, so basically this, I don't know how to picture this, but basically the wallets were made with like strings that they used to come and they used to sew it together. So if these sewings, which I guess is the back part of the wallet, is towards the outside, I mean facing towards the inside, so therefore obviously with somebody from the outside coming and putting the wallet inside the wall, and therefore belongs to the Reshut Rabim. But if it was the other way around, obviously it belongs to the Reshut Hayachid. Ask the Gemara, ve'ela matznit indikatani, but rather our Mishnah that we learned, mechetzio velachutz shelo, mechetzio velifnim shel balabait, our Mishnah that we learned that from the halfway to the outside belongs to him, halfway to the inside belongs to the balabait. So one second, velichse ikate legav ikate lebar, right? Ishanse legav ishanse lebar. I don't understand you. We went and in our Mishnah we give a general rule. Take the wall, split it in half. From a halfway outside belongs to the how do you call them, to the Reshut Rabim. Halfway inside belongs to the people of the balabait. The question is, why don't you check if it's a knife, check the knife. If it's a keys, check the keys. Right, that's it. What's so difficult? So answers the Gemara, matznit in our Mishnah is beudra v'naska. We're talking about chafatzim, right? For example, mochin. Mochin are like pieces of wool, right? Like cement, like a cotton wool and things like that, right? V'naska is pieces of silver, and therefore you can't tell from which way it came from. Meaning a knife, you're right. You came and you gave me the handle of the knife, or you gave me for the keys for the arnak, the wallet. You give me the ritzuot of the wallet. But here you don't have that. So Tanya, we also learned, right, in a Braita, if it was full of things, chulkin, right, they divided between the balabait and, right, the finder. So says the Gemara, pshita, obviously. So he says, lo tzricha de mishpa bechad gisa, that the kotel is meshupa to one side. So therefore, one side of the chor, right, one side of the hole is higher than the other side. So ma'odatem, I would have thought to say, ishtapuche ishtapich, right? Chelek, right? That means part of them, they went from one part to the other part, right? And therefore we're going to say that kilu, everything is on the higher part. Okay? Kamashmalan comes to teach you that we're saying no, and anywhere where they are, you're always going to divide the utensils between them. Okay? Fine. Next two dots. Imayam maskiro lacherim. If he was renting out the house to other people, so even if it's going to be inside of the house, it belongs to him. Says the Gemara, Vamai, why? Just go after the last guy that was in the house. Meaning the last guy of the house, he obviously lost whatever it was. Yeah? Milo Tran, didn't we learn? Right? When you have money that is going to be found before in front of people that are buying, in the shuk of the behemoth, leolam, right? Maaser, it's always going to be considered maaser sheni. Why? Because the majority of the meat and everything which is bought in Yerushalayim is from maaser sheni. If it was going to be found on Harabait, mistametz chulin, because right, and even during the time of the regel. Now, even though we just said in Yerushalayim it's going to be maot maaser sheni, but nevertheless, the majority of the days, right, the majority of the money in Yerushalayim is going to be maot chulin. It's only to do with when it's going to be during the time of the regel that it's going to be maaser sheni. Okay, Birushalayim. If it's going to be in Yerushalayim, b'shari mot hashana it's going to be chulin. B'shat regel kol maaser, everything is maaser. V'amar Rav Shemaya bar Zeira says Rav Shemaya bar Zeira, my tama, what's reasoning? Hoil v'shukei Yerushalayim asuyin litkabeh bechol yom. Because they used to come and they used to actually be metateh, the shuks of Yerushalayim, every single day. Meaning they used to come and they used to start brooming the floors every single day. So now, if there was money that fell there before the regel, it's not there anymore. So therefore, the money that's found now is chulin. Yeah? One more time. Usually what happens is that when a person comes and they have money, what are they supposed to do? You go to Yerushalayim for shalosh regalim and you buy meat and you eat, you enjoy there. You buy meat and steaks and this and have a good beer. Yeah, and then what happens? And then you're going to enjoy yourself. Yeah, that's going to be in Yerushalayim. So he says, but that's only going to be by the time of the regel. Alma, so you see from here, Amrina, we're going to say kamay azle, that the first ones disappeared. This is other money. So to hear kama azil, the first chafatzim of the first people that lived here, they went away. And therefore it belongs to the last person. So therefore, if right now you come and you find something in a house, and the guy rented out the house, it doesn't belong to the original owner of the house, it belongs to the last person that rented the house. So Amar Shakish, Mishum Bar Kapara, says Shakish, name Bar Kapara, for example, Shasau Pundak, you made it like a hotel. the Shlosha Yisrael, right? To three Jews together, right? Or even all the more so if it was going to be three goyim. And therefore, even if the chafetz was shayach to one of these people, right? He's allowed to take it for himself because since the owners already had yush, even if it did have a siman, because since at the end of the day, right, he doesn't know which one to tell him. He doesn't know who to ask from. If it was only going to be two people, then yes. But if it was going to be three people, who are you going to start, looking for your money from where? One person, another person, another person. The guy comes and he was getting it from three people that were getting it from the Jew. So therefore, it was very difficult to find out who are you going to look for your lost object from. So Shema Mina we learn from here that if somebody's going to lose an object in the Reshut Rabim, he's going to forget about it, even if the majority of Yisrael, you remember we had this as one of the Sfekot, right? Even if the majority of the people are Yisrael, not only if the majority of people are Goyim, meaning a Jew, let's say it's a Jewish neighborhood, but you lose something in a public domain, you lose something in Reshut Rabim, you're probably going to give up hope, because it's in the Reshut Rabim, there's so many people going back and forth. For you to find your object is very difficult, right? Very, very difficult. Ela, but rather, Amar Rav Menashe bar Yaakov Shasao Pundak l'Shoshav de Kochavim. Really, meant you made it a hotel to three goyim, and therefore, since it probably was lost from one of them, there's no mitzvah to give it back, and therefore, right, you're allowed to come and you're allowed to keep it. That is the answer of Rav Menashe bar Yaakov. Rav Nachman says the name of Rabbi Rav. Even you're going to tell me that there are three Jews. My tama, what's the reasoning, right, that we said that you're allowed to keep it? Because he already did yush. He's going to say, there was nobody else there. Elahani other than these people. I kept it, and even if I'm going to tell them, please give it back, they're not going to give it back to me. Now they're going to give it back to me? Obviously not. If they want to give it back, they'll give it back. And if they don't want to give it back, so why don't they want to give it back? Because they want to steal it. And therefore he's going to come and he's going to come and he's going to do yush to it. Rav Nachman goes according to his reasoning. Rav Nachman says, Rav Nachman, Ra'a Sela, right? Shenafal Nishnaim, Kafvav Mubet, 26b. If you see a Sela is a coin that fell from two different people, right? That means from one of the two, Chayav Lachzir, you have to give it back. My time, what's the reasoning? Haud Nafal Lo Miyayesh, because he doesn't have yush, right? So he says, he's going to say, there's nobody else. Elahai, this guy. So nakitna leva amina le, I'm going to take it. I'm going to say, Antu de shakalte, you took it from me. But if it's going to be for three people, you're right. He says you're not obligated to give it back. My time was reasoning. How did was the one that for sure had the yush. Meiman Amar was he's going to say, there was another two people. If right, one of them already took it. Amar, and he's going to say lo shakalti, that I didn't take it. Each one is going to meaning like this. If there's only two people, it's very difficult to get out of it. So if I'm going to say Babahaki, give it back to me, and you're going to say you didn't take it, well, we were only two. So it's either you're pulling my leg or you're stealing it. You understand? But if it's three people, each one blames the other. So I said, Babahaki, give it. I don't have it, so I'm going to go to the other one. Where give it back to me? I don't have it. Each one, they throw it to each other. And therefore, since they're doing it, so therefore, I can't do anything about it. Yeah? Okay. Amar Rava. Rava comes and he says, Haida Amarta, that what Jesus said, Bishosha, the three people, you're not chayav lachzir. Lo Amaran, what are we dealing with? He comes and he says, Lo Amaran, Ela delet be shave pruta lechol chavecha. That's if they don't have a shave pruta to each people. That means the chefetz does not have three prutot. Aval it be shave pruta lechol, but if it does have shave pruta to each one, chayav lachzir, you're obligated to give it back. My tama, what's reasoning? Ema shutafen ninhu. Because we could actually say that the really be'emet, they're all shutafim, ve'lo miyashu, and therefore they're not going to be mitayesh. Because nobody's going to suspect the other one, right? But he's going to say, right, each one was just like, trying to play with him. But he's not going to have yush, right? Because basically each one, since each one has shavet pruta in it, I'm going to say that each one of them are shutafim. They're all partners. They're sleeping in the same hotel, they're sleeping in the same, they're partners. Okay? So Yikadamri, some people say, Rava says, even though it only has two shte prutot, you're still obligated to give it back. My Talmud's reasoning, one of them was mochel by the other one. And therefore, what happens is that for sure there's no problem over here. The Amar Rava, and Rava says, Ra sela shenafla. If you see a sela that fell from his friend, ya natla lifnei yush al menat leguzlan. You took it, right? So the one that found it was before yush, but he wanted to steal it. Omed bekulan, right? You still have all the mitzvot of hashavat aveda. Mishum lo tigzol, or mishum you. That means you still have the yisur of lo tigzol because it's lifnei yush. That means if you steal it from him, since the guy didn't give up hope, so you're stealing. You also have the mitzvah of Hashev Teshivem, which means you have to give back the lost object, which is a positive commandment of Hashavat Avedah. You also have a negative commandment of Lo Tuchal Litalem. You're not allowed to hide your eyes from it, which means there are two different mitzvot by Hashavat Avedah. You're not allowed to close your eyes. Kilu, I didn't see it. Plus, you have to give it back. So it's two different. It's a mitzvah, it's a positive commandment, and a negative commandment. Hashev Teshivem, you have to give it back. That's a positive. Velo tuchal litalem, and don't close your eyes. Don't hide your eyes from it, which is a negative commandment. And even if it was that you gave it back after yush, it's not considered hashavat avida. Matanahu diavle. You give him a present. Yisura davad avad. But the yisur that you did, you already did it. Yeah. Okay, there's a whole question here. What does that mean? There's a whole footnote here in Tosafot. What does that mean? That exactly, kilu that there's a shavat aveda, but then you just fix the gezel, and you were giving him a present. Like what's going on exactly? But okay. Netala lifnei yush aminat lachzira. Imagine right now you took it, and it was before yush. Now you wanted to give it back. Ulachar yush, and then afterwards you found out that there was yush. You wanted to steal it. Over mishum masher teshivem. Meaning, when you found it, you wanted to give it back, but it was before yush. All of a sudden, you want to give it back, and you found out that the guy gave up hope. The guy said, I'm never going to get it back. So now you say, okay, so I'm just going to keep it. No. Because since right now you're over on Hashavat Aveda, because since when you took it, it was before yush, and you were going to give it back, you have to give it back. Okay? Himtin la ad shiniti hashav. The guy was smart. He found it, and he waited, so the guy gives up hope. But after a little while, people give up hope. So he waited. He waited the time in order that the person should give up hope. Yeah? And then Natla, and then he takes it for himself. He's not going to be over on Lo Tuchal Litalem Bilvad. So he's only going to be over on Lo Tuchal Litalem, but not on Lo Tigzol, right? Because he didn't take it before Yush. He only took it after Yush. And therefore he was able to keep it for himself. And he's not going to be over on the Mitzvah of Hashev Teshivem, right? Because this is only going to be before yush. Meaning, it all depends when you found it. If you already found it after the guy gave up hope, so therefore you don't have the mitzvah of Hashev Teshivim, and you don't have lo tigzol. You only have lo tuchal litalem. Okay, another case. Amar Rava, Hayman dechazi denafal zuz mechavre ki chalta. A person that comes and he finds a zuz fall from his friend into the chol, into the sand. Now he finds it and he takes it. He doesn't have to give it back. My Tammuz reasoning. For sure he has yush, right? Why? Because once it falls into sand, it's very difficult to find. You have to take. Okay, nowadays they have these metal detectors, and they start to looking, but it's very, very difficult to find something in sand. Right? Sand goes very deep. It's very difficult. Right? He says now, even though he comes and he sees that he's getting a sieve and he's trying to look for his coin. No, he says, you know what? Just like it fell from me, it fell somebody else. So maybe I'm going to find something. Maybe I'm not going to find my coin, but maybe it was your coin that you also went there and you also dropped it. And so I'm going to come, meaning I'm not going to find mine. Maybe I'm going to find somebody else's. So therefore, I'm going to take a sieve and I'm going to do it, but maybe I'm going to find it from somebody else. Okay, let's do the Mishnah. Mishnah says, Matzah bechanut. If you find an object in a chanut, right, that it does not have a siman, okay, in a store, Harelu Shelo belongs to you. Ben atava lechenvani, if it's going to be between the chenvani is the storekeeper, right, and the shulchan which is in front, meaning like the cash register, right, and the person, shel chenvani belongs to the chenvani. Lifnei shulchani, if it's going to be in front of a person that's a money changer, right, that means basically the money changer used to have a table. Nowadays they have how do you call this? Glass with bulletproof. I don't know why. But once upon a time they used to just have a table. It was in front of the table. So if you found it in front of the table, right, of the shulchani of the money changer, harelu shelo belongs to you. Ben hakiseh shulchani, if it's between the chair and the shulchan, belongs to the shulchani. So it all depends where do you find it. Is it meaning because if it's like right here, the table's in front of me. If I find it from here to here, it belongs to me because obviously it fell for me. But if it's on the other side of the table, It was the last guy that came. It was, I don't know how many people that came. Tons of people came. Could belong to anybody. Doesn't belong to me. So for you, keep it. Okay, and the same thing with the store. Halokach perot mechavero, right? If somebody is going to take fruits from his friend, or he sent his fruits to his friend, and you found money, it belongs to you. Okay? He says, but if they were tied together, so then you have to actually announce it. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Lazar, says Rabbi Lazar, even if it's going to be on the table, because also the shulchanin, also the lukuchot put money on the table, so therefore it belongs to anybody. Why? Because that's it. There's yush. So even if it was on the table, it's the same halacha. Meaning it's not only if it was on the floor, on the other side of the money changer. Even if it's on the table, it still belongs to whoever's going to find it. So Tanan, we learned in the Mishnah, lifnei shulchani, it belongs to him. Hal gabei shulchan, it's mashma, belongs to the shulchani. But the Seifa said, between the chair and the table, belongs to the shulchani, to the money changer. But on the table, belongs to him. So basically there's a stira between the Reisha and the Seifa. Who does it belong to? The money changer? Or does it belong to the person that found it? We wanted to make a diuk that if it's between the chair and here, it belongs to the money changer. If it's on the other side, it belongs to the other guy. So, but 1 second. If you take one part, it's mashma from here to here, it belongs to me. If it's on the table, it belongs to the finder. But the other one said that if it's on that side off the table, it belongs to the finder. But if it's here, it belongs to me. So there's a stira. Which one is the main thing? What happens on the table? Nobody spoke about the table. So I could deduce from the Mishnah both different ways. So says you're right. You can bring a proof from the Mishnah. So how do you know this mekor? Then according to Rabbi Lazar. So Amar Rava says matrite kashite. Right? He had a question from the Mishnah. What does it mean from the Mishnah? He comes and he says like this: Man idia, who's the one that's going to come? Right? Ma idia detani ben. So why do we say that between the chair and the table belongs to the money changer? Litzni, why didn't we just say ala shulchan? Inami, or another thing also, matzaba shulchanot, if you found it on the shulchanot, which means you found it on the tables, it's in his. If you found it in the chanut, it belongs to him. Ela shemamina, but rather we learn from here, afilu munachin agabe shulchan, even if it's going to be on the shulchan, harelu shelo, belongs to him. We'll continue with Zat Hashem tomorrow.